Welcome to another episode of the Forgotten Athlete Podcast. I'm here as your host, Joseph, here with Zach. How's it going today?
Things are going well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. It's a Wednesday. So, yeah, can't complain. We have a lot to talk about today. Got the play-in recap of yesterday with the Western Conference, and we got some NFL news to talk about. Well, not news, but just our draft thoughts on certain divisions. Just before we get started, just want to say thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to all the new viewers. Thank you to the old viewers. Thank you to the consistent viewers as well. We appreciate you all. And this is the time where I will ask for likes and subscribes. One of our videos, which has the most views on it, does have a lot of dislikes on it, which is fine. However, subscribe. If you dislike it so much and you want to tune in to us, subscribe, like, and share. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start the podcast off with this NFC South Draft update. So we have 4 teams in this division, 3 teams we're going to talk about today, and then we'll kind of shadow over the Carolina Panthers because they don't have a pick until God knows when. But I mean, I know it's the 33rd or 33rd pick, something like that. So we'll talk about them when we can. But for now, we'll focus on the first round. Zach, do you have any thoughts, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I can start us off because obviously the Falcons had a big free agency with bringing in Kirk Cousins. They kind of
Mm-hmm.
solidified that quarterback position. We know they spent a lot of first round picks on their offensive side with the running back, receiver, tight end. Hopefully, it all comes together for the offense now that they have a real quarterback. You would think the need kind of shifts over to that defense because they did put so much effort into the offense in previous drafts and then in free agency this offseason. I still think there's some depth um, that you kind of want to get in the receiver position,
Yeah.
and just for me. Um, so I think the draft's pretty interesting. They're in a great spot here, picking at 8. You can, of course, we talk about a lot, trade down. Honestly, it'd be kind of interesting if they trade up if they want to go get one of these top receivers and Dunze or Neighbors or Harrison
Yeah.
starts falling. So really, they're in a great spot here. When I do my little mock draft on PFF, Neighbors just so happens to fall. I do think if he's there, I think you got to take him. But
Yeah.
in the likely scenario where he's not, go get yourself one of the best pass rushers in the draft. Um, and it seems the consensus is leaning Dallas Turner. If that's the case, then I think it's probably going to move.
Yeah, I think between him and Latu, those are the only really pass rushers that are looking to be drafted in the top 20, top 15 picks. It's very well. People have said it's more depth in the later round than it is in the current like in the earlier rounds, like more like third, fourth, fifth round. Like you'll see teams draft starters in that defensive end position, which we see all the time, I think. But people are saying more now this draft than in previous drafts. I kind of want to do an experiment real quick because okay, so I'm just gonna draw down the line. No trades are happening. I'm just gonna go through 1 through 8, and I'm gonna ask you now, knowing what you know now, what should they do? So I got this mock here on NFL. So first pick is by the Bears. They choose Caleb Williams. Second pick is Jaden Daniels. Third pick is Drake May. Fourth pick is Marvin Harrison. Fifth pick is Joe Alt. Uh, and then sixth pick is Malik Neighbors. Seventh pick is quarterback. And then the eighth pick, which is the Falcons, they can get Roman Duze there if this mock draft
Yeah,
is right, obviously. So I think
yeah,
to your point, to your first point, I think at this point the Falcons have kind of laid their team out where they know where they are at. Like you kind of mapped it out really well. Like they have a good line, they have a good offensive line, they have a good run game. They've drafted pass catchers. So now it's just more you trying to build. It's like kind of how we said it yesterday about Caleb Williams. Like you're trying to build around this team to make it so Caleb Williams understands that hey, like I'm sorry, not Caleb, but Kirk Cousins understands like hey, I have enough help. Like I'm not asking for too much because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like, don't you feel like Kirk Cousins does a really good job of distributing the ball around to different type of players? Like I mean, I don't know his stats in terms of that radar or advanced analytics, but I feel like he does a really good job of just giving everybody an equal opportunity to make some plays. Now, obviously, when you got a guy like Justin Jefferson, that that gets altered a little bit, but just him in the Commander offense, I remember, there was a lot of guys like Sims. There was can't think of his name now.
The
Santana Moss. The receiver
no,
Crowder,
I
Jameson
think
Crowder.
that's wrong.
I'm sorry. No, Santana Moss was there when
Was
Kirk
he?
Cousins was there. Yeah, he
Oh,
was. Because the only reason why I know that is because Kirk Cousins said something about it on the quarterback series, where he was like telling him which guys gave him advice, like
who is that?
what guys gave him advice, and Santana Moss was one of the names that he mentioned, and I that's why I went back. I was like, wait, Santana Moss was on that team, but he was a veteran. But anyways, with that being said, I agree with you. I do think they get Roman Duze. If Roman Duze is not there, I do say them going with the pass pressure, just because I mean at that point you're just having best player available, and I think he's gonna be the best guy available, defensively. Okay, this is easy. That's easy. Next pick is the Saints, and they pick at I think 14. Sorry.
14.
So yeah, so they pick at 14, pick number 14. I have them going with the receiver here, personally.
Really?
Yeah, and the
Okay, okay.
reason why is because they lost a lot of guys. They well, not a lot of guys, but they lost Michael Thomas. Well, I don't know if he's coming back next year. That situation is very weird. And as well as them not really having a lot of not depth, but not a lot of good talent in that field. Like when I think of their team, I think their team needs a receiver. I have them not merely trading up, but drafting a receiver like Troy Franklin. Is that too early for him, though? You think, or maybe like eight on eight?
I think it's way too early
Yeah.
for me, for my taste.
So here's my thing with this pick 14, and because I was kind of struggling, like, what should they do here? Where do you think they should go? Because I've been struggling because I'm like, they need they need a reliable pass catcher other than Chris Olave. And I know they drafted a receiver. I know they drafted Chris Olave 2 years ago, but I don't know. What do you think?
Shaheed had a pretty good year last year
I did forget about
receiver.
Shaheed. I did forget about Shaheed. But
I mean, I think the bigger need is on the offensive line,
okay.
especially considering that Ryan Ramczyk, his career might be in jeopardy here. So you have no one to start at tackle right now, and then when you're picking 14, I think that's going to be the spot. Whether it's Huaga, Oregon State, Latham, he falls, Pashanu. Like I think those guys are going to be too much value to pass up to try to reach for a receiver. I get where you're coming from. Hey, they need another pass catcher, but I mean, I got Derek Carr anyway, so it's not like he can get the ball to all these guys. So
yeah, that's true.
I just wanted to check. I
mean, he's gonna be checking down.
He's gonna be checking down anyway, so and throwing the deep pass every once in a while. But I got my deep guys, Shaheed Olave, Michael Thomas. I don't know. His career seems up in there too. But honestly, I think his run its course with that guy. I would try to, still address the wide receiver position, but I wouldn't do it here. Here, I'm going offensive line because it's going to be the best value.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and I honestly agree. Offensive line is probably the bigger need. I didn't realize that. I thought Ramczyk had retired. Honestly, I didn't realize that he was still on the roster. Until you said that. So, yeah, I guess offensive line is needed position for them, especially the amount of time that. But here's my thing with drafting offensive line this early in the rounds. For a guy like Derek Carr, for me, I don't think that he personally. Because Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback for at least the next 2 seasons, right? Well, I guess he has an opt out. I guess they could opt out of this year, but he's on contract for the next 2 seasons. I just don't understand. Not understand, but I just don't see Derek Carr needing a offensive lineman or tackle where he gets rid of the ball pretty fast, regardless. Like because he's so scared of getting hit. I feel like. So like he doesn't even let the play develop at all. Like to me, and I think that's one of the things where I think he really did really well in John Gruden offense because John Gruden West Coast old school guy where the quarterback has the ball and he just dumps it off and lets his receivers. Everything was kind of short. There was really never any type of deep balls. But I guess that's where I'm like, this is why I didn't choose him to choose offensive lineman because my thing is give this guy Derek Carr enough weapons so there's no excuses. That's kind of where I go. But and I didn't realize that Brian Thomas could be available at this time too. So, all right, well, let's go to number 20, where the Buccaneers pick. I think we're kind of along the same lines here, but I'll see. I haven't drafted an offensive lineman here, whether it be a tackle, center. I think this team is built pretty well. I think I mean, obviously Baker Mayfield, there's question marks there. Can he, he's not going to get you to a Super Bowl. I think that question is not really, a question. But they won 3 straight division titles. They won division 3 years in a row. Obviously, 2 of those years were with Tom Brady. Last year was with Baker. But the proof is in the pudding. This guy can get you W's. So what do you think this team does here? And defensively, I don't think they draft defensively, although I believe they lost Winfield this over the offseason. But what do you think this team does?
Did they wait? Hold on. They lost Winfield?
I believe they lost Antoine Winfield. Or maybe they re-signed him. Let's double check. Fact check that.
Double check.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. They re-signed him. They re-signed him.
Okay.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
I
thought they brought him and Evans back.
Yeah.
I think they're. If my memory's correct, they lost a couple offensive linemen.
They did.
So I think that's especially on the interior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the move
position,
here
yeah.
to try to improve that offensive line.
I mean, they have one of the best tackles in the game as well. So I think, yeah.
So my man Jackson Powers Johnson's available. So I know it's boring going. I know it's boring going offensive line, but I would either go there or drafting someone on defense. And I'm like, I don't know if any of these guys I would draft over Jackson. That's for me. I would go center here and try to shore up the offensive line.
Yeah, I agree here because I think at this point the guys
they're in a tough spot.
The guys that are kind of already drafted, most of the guys that are top ranked linemen are tackles for the most part. Like that's gonna be the strong.
But if they get Jackson Powers Johnson, he's the best center in the draft.
Well, not according to Bucky Brooks. Bucky Brooks has Graham Barton.
He likes Zach?
He liked Graham Barton from Duke, yeah. And he's been getting a lot more. He's been getting a lot more buzz lately.
I've seen Zach Fraser. I've seen Zach Fraser for West Virginia.
Yeah,
and then my guy Jackson Powers Johnson. So
I think I could be wrong here, but I think Graham Barton is kind of versatile, where he can play center or guard. So I think that kind of but I could be wrong there. I'm not positive there, but I'm pretty sure that's his position is going to be center though. His position is going to be center. I think. I'm just saying they can move him around in case the team does draft him. I think that would probably be a good pick for them. But some are either a guard or a center. That would probably be my choice of them, just because they have I forget. I'm drawing a blank on their tackle. Forget his name. But
Worse. Tristan Wirfs, one of the best players in the league.
Yeah. Tristan Wirfs. I'm sorry. Good thinking name. Thank you. But yeah, so I don't think they need any type of outside help in terms of the tackle. They have complimentary receivers. They have running back. They have obviously a good quarterback.
I would get running. I think they do address the running back in this draft.
Yeah, later on
they'll
down
probably
the road,
draft
though.
the tight end. Like they're going to draft these guys later on.
I feel like Cade Alden showed a little bit last year that he could be a primary target.
Yeah, but we're drafting.
But
they're going for depth though.
Yeah,
because behind him, that's right. Yeah.
Speaking of tight end, let's can we kind of pause there for a second, because there's a guy that I forgot about, and sorry, not tight end, receivers. Sorry, Jacob Cowing.
You're drafting another receiver?
No. This is just a side conversation because we're pretty much done with the NFC South. What do you think about the Jacob Cowing? Have you heard about him from Arizona? I forgot his name.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the kid. Jacob Cowing. Yeah.
Do you like his game? Do you think he translates to the game? Is that a name that you're gonna be like, oh, I wouldn't be surprised if he does well? Or are you just like, I don't really care about him?
I'm not interested. I know people are. I just watch them like, it's not a diss. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
for
I was
me.
just
Those
curious
are
to
my
see your
takes.
thoughts. Just curious to see your thoughts. I mean, you don't have to give
Or
me.
is he someone that you're a fan of?
I am, yeah, yeah. I saw him a lot over the past couple seasons, and he's been kind of really good in that Arizona offense. But yeah, let's go to the Panthers just because they have a pick, early second round pick. I think they should draft a receiver. Doesn't matter who they is, the best receiver available. They
Let
need
me see their
help.
needs.
They need help. The Panthers need. I mean, they need everything. They just do. They need offensive line. They need
You're not a believer in
receivers.
Deontay?
Deontay.
They picked up Deontay Johnson
Oh
in the trade.
yeah, but they have Thielen. They have Deontay. They have Mingo. Unless Mingo's gonna take a
Yeah,
huge
it's starting
leap.
to come. It's starting to come together.
Unless Mingo's gonna take a huge leap. I just think they need another outside receiver. And listen, I'm a fan of Jonathan Mingo. I drafted him in the first round over Zay Flowers, which is probably the worst mistake of my life so far. And I just don't think that they're in the position to kind of fumble that position. You know, I guess
Hmm.
I don't know. That's where I land. What do you think? What do you think they should do?
Well, they have a couple second round picks, like thanks to the Brian Burns trade.
Oh, I
Um,
forget about the Barbers place of the Giants. So they have two second round picks. Then they have
yeah,
one early and then they have a mid one. Or no, they have, well, I guess
yeah.
mid and
So
early.
yeah, I mean, I think they're in a pretty good position. Like when I don't think I think everyone's really off the Panthers and Bryce Young and stuff. Uh, obviously, I don't think he's going to be C.J. Stroud, which I mean,
Hindsight.
you hate that if you're the
Yeah.
Panthers, right? You're like, dude, we could have had C.J. Stroud, who's the best young quarterback um, in the NFL right now. But that's where they're at. So where I'm looking, I'm like, who are their needs? You obviously the receiver, you got to replace Brian Burns. I mean, I don't know who their tight end is at all. Like, I
I know
can't. No
that
one comes to mind.
I know it was the guy with the dreads. I forget his name. But yeah, to your
Oh,
point.
Ian Thomas.
Ian Thomas, yes, yes, him. There we go.
Like, I'm not. Yeah, that doesn't
But
really do
I
much
don't
for
think
me.
I don't think he was ever available.
Yeah, so I can see going receiver here. A couple guys that are available in my little mock here: Lab McConkey, Troy Franklin. I think either one of those guys would be kind of nice with the Panthers, especially when you're adding them to Deontay, who I think can do a lot.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen, I'm still high on Adam Thielen. I think he kind of ran out of gas there because he was the only guy available for the Panthers last year. So I think they targeted him so much early on in the season, he just didn't have enough later on in the season. I think that's where you
Yeah.
saw him kind of slow down with his production. But if you can bring another guy in there with Deontay, I think you kind of you're starting to get something. I don't know if any of these guys are like the elite one, wide receiver one necessarily, but maybe the collection can really come together and do something. And I would really address the tight end later on in this draft too, because I think that's important. To partner a young quarterback with a tight end. I don't know. For me, I think
Yeah.
that's a little more valuable. Someone closer to the ball that can help control the run game and the blocking and
Yeah.
help with catching like those little release.
Yeah, I
You're blocking
agree.
and release the safety route. So
Yeah, I
yeah, for me,
agree.
that's what I would do.
I agree. I think their needs are a lot more than just one or two guys, and I mean, they know that. That's why they traded Byron Burns for those extra picks. Um, but yeah,
But if
I
they end
just
up coming out of here, Joseph, with at 33 selecting a receiver, let's just say it's Troy Franklin's gone, Lad. If they go Keon Coleman,
that's still a good
who
pick.
we're not like in love with, but if they end up with Keon Coleman and at 39 taking um Jatavion Sanders, like all of a sudden you're looking at the Panthers offense a little different. You're like, okay, I can see what you guys are doing. You can line a lot of people up there who know what they're doing outside to catch the ball. That's I think that's what you
Yeah,
need. Mingo,
yeah,
I know you drafted him high, but I think we saw he's not a him and Terrence Marshall. They keep drafting the bad LSU guys.
yeah. I don't think that Mingo had enough opportunities last year, and I didn't think he got a really good fair amount of coaching in that offense. Um, I don't know what it was, but it just seemed as if their offense didn't really have any sync at all. Like there wasn't any type of rhythm in it.
They
So
didn't have an identity at all
yeah,
last
yeah,
year.
yeah, 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 and that's kind of
Yeah.
where it went down spiral for me, and it was like, is Mingo the problem? Is the offense the problem? Like, what's really the problem? So, with that being said, I think for the most part we can kind of move past the NFL. Is it choppy, by the way, for you? Sorry.
Oh man, yeah, it's me. My battery's about to die.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Let's go to the NBA. You want to take a break and get your charger, or you're good?
Yeah, let's take a break.
All right, let's take a break.